What's up, what's up, what's up? Welcome to the show. This is Assembled Correctly, and I am Richard Sarvate. I dig this, huh? It's got like a urban summer New York kind of feel. Maybe that's because it's named Summer Feel Good Urban New York City.mp3. I have no original thoughts. Sometimes I just wonder if all of my thoughts are just the combination of three things that I've heard from other people, you know? Will I ever have an original thought that's just mine? I'm calling the podcast Assembled Correctly. This started because last Wednesday I was in therapy. And I told my therapist that I do, on the surface, appear to be assembled correctly. And she laughed. And so I named the podcast after it. Little story for you. The thing is, I do feel like that, you know, because a lot of times in my life, I have just absorbed the mannerisms of other people and then just put them into myself. And then I've kind of constructed myself together from all of these things that I've observed. Like, have you ever noticed? Okay, so I always had a really tough time leaving a party. I had no idea how to do it. So then I just watched other people leave a party and I copied them. So most people, when they leave a party, they just go, all right, guys, I got to feed my dog. See you later. And so I was like, oh, that's amazing. That's a great way to leave a party. So now whenever I'm at a party and I'm like, oh, it's time to go, I just go, yep, see you guys later. I have to feed my dog. Like I've turned into like one of those like sculptures at Disneyland that just like waves and talks, you know? All right, see you guys. I have to go feed my dog. All right, bye guys. I have to go feed my dog. Well, I'm very happy that you guys are here and listening. As usual, I just want to put a little disclaimer. If you are considering unsubscribing because you're like, this podcast is boring, this is not adding any value to my life. If you're feeling like that, then I would like to say to you, please hit that unsubscribe button and get out of here. Get out. Because it's not going to get any more interesting. The people I want here are the people that are excited to be here. If you're sitting there at home and you're like, man, this is the thing that I want to do right now. Hold my calls, secretary. I'm doing the thing that I want to do right now. If that's how you feel about this podcast, then come along. And if there's anything less than that, if you're like, I could go get some boba, go get the boba. I don't want you here. I only like people that like me. You know what I mean? I'm so done with chasing after people. But last week was a good week. The average watch time on the podcast last week was 9 minutes. 9 minutes. That's crazy. I'm feeling the love. So far, we are 4 minutes in. I'm going to throw up a little timer here. Let's see who can get to 9 minutes. All right, starting. So I started one at 5 minutes right now. If you make it past 9 minutes, you are above average. I got Lasik eye surgery this past week. I can see perfectly. I'm really looking at you right now. But man, it's it's crazy. They cut my eye open and they shoved a laser in there and I just let them do it to me, you know? Because I'm at that point in my life right now where somebody shoving a laser into my eye, that to me is like, do what you got to do. I'm totally fine with hot burning objects entering my body. I'm 36, I'm like, how bad could it be? But like the thing that is so sad is that as soon as I had perfect vision, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I can see the world perfectly. The universe is fantastic. It is full of such beautiful things. My goodness. Each individual blade of grass is its own special miracle. And then on day 2, I was like, ugh. Yeah, I can see, but what's the point? Now I can just see how shitty the world is. Oh, man. Well, they gave me these eye drops that I have to use. Look at this stuff. It looks like milk. Have you ever just poured milk into your eye? I feel like I look like when a baby is just born, and it has like pieces of placenta still in its eye. Just think of me as like a newborn 36-year-old Indian baby. That's kind of the way I feel about it. What's going on? Who's vaccinated? I'm not vaccinated yet. But apparently the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is giving people blood clots. It's actually, okay, it's not really giving people blood clots. 6.8 million people have had the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. 6 of them got blood clots. And now they've recalled the vaccine because they're like, chance of blood clots. Is 6 out of 6.8 million that big of a deal? That's less than 1 in a million. 1 in a million people have gotten blood clots after using the vaccine. So is it really the vaccine? Or do these people just have blood clots? Suppose I tapped 1 million people on the shoulder and one of them died of a heart attack. Does that mean that when I tap people on the shoulder, that potentially causes heart attacks? Just something to think about. See, on this podcast, we think about things from angles that most people don't think about, Most people would be like, oh, yeah, the vaccine's dangerous. But over here, you get an alternative. You get a host that doesn't know how to speak. And, sometimes that's just more valuable than someone who knows how to speak. Anybody can listen to Ben Shapiro and be like, oh, that guy's so smart. Over here, you get a host that can't speak properly and has milky liquid in his eyes. It's kind of weird, like the people that we look towards, for guidance these days, like Greta Thunberg, like everyone's just like, oh, it's a small child that sounds smart. Like, let's listen to her, because it's like, all right, we're done listening to adults. So maybe this person knows. I mean, we're just scrambling for, some sort of guidance. And my timer here is at 8 seconds. So I don't want to start talking yet. Oh my God, guys, this is it. Wow. Guys, you made it to the 9-minute mark. All right. You know what? I want to make a gift for everyone who made it to 9 minutes. If you made it to 9 minutes, type blood clots in the comment section. The first person to type blood clots in the comments, I'll write a song for you and I'll play it live on the podcast next week. Wow, I did not want to commit to that, but I just said it, and now I'm thinking about how much work that's going to be, and I regret it. But I am going to write a song. I can actually play the guitar. Let me show you. All right, all right. This is episode number 3. If you're listening, that makes me happy. If you weren't here, I would disappear. Where would I go? I really don't know. All right, let's get back to the podcast. So whoever the lucky winner is, you're going to get a song next week in a sexy acoustic Richard Sarvate style. So yeah, get vaccinated. You know what? I think we should, instead of saying vaccine, I think we should pronounce vaccine the same way we pronounce fettuccine. I think we should say vaccini. Fettuccine. Vaccini. Vaccini Alfredo. Man, I hope I didn't tell that joke before. I'm actually deathly afraid that I'm going to start repeating myself on this, because I do have a history of repeating myself. One time we did this show at a comedy club, and the show was you do a set, and then you get off stage, you get high, you smoke a bunch of weed, and then you go back on stage and you perform again. And in the second part, after I went back on stage high, I told one of the same jokes from the first time, and it was so embarrassing. Oh man, like as soon as I started telling the joke, everybody started laughing. So the joke I was telling, I was talking about how I bought psychedelic mushrooms on the dark web using Bitcoins, and I was talking about how they sent me the mushrooms through the mail in a bag of potato chips. And my joke was, because I guess sending one bag of potato chips through the U.S. Postal Service, apparently this raises no red flags. And the first time I told the joke, it went great. Then I went back on stage and I started telling the same joke because I was so high and I didn't remember what I had told. And I was like, guys, I bought mushrooms on the dark web, and they showed up at my house in one bag of potato chips. Everybody started laughing so much. They were going nuts. And I was like, oh my God, if you guys think this is funny, wait till you hear the punchline. And then I was like, gosh, they sent me one bag of chips through the U.S. Postal Service, because I guess sending one bag of chips through the U.S. Postal Service, apparently this raises no red flags. And nobody laughed. And then one person just started clapping. And I was like, that's weird. Like, they liked the joke so much. And then one clap at the end. And then I got off stage just like really confused. And then it wasn't until 2 weeks later when I watched both of the sets that I realized that I told the same joke twice. So anyway, if I tell the same joke twice, I will end this podcast. So that's for anyone who wants this to stop, be on the lookout. But man, dude, I really did buy a bunch of Bitcoin back in 2011. I bought 300, and dude, when Bitcoin first came out, I was like, oh, Bitcoin, this sounds so dumb. Bitcoin? what is that? And now I'm like, ugh. I do have one Bitcoin right now. People keep on, I'm like looking at some investment advice, and people are saying that you should put like some of your money in gold to hedge against inflation. Who's buying gold right now? If you buy gold today, you're a pirate. Who has bricks of gold under their bed? Yeah, I have half of my money in gold doubloons. No. Buy Bitcoins. Bitcoin is awesome, right? It's a decentralized currency. If you go to another country and you use your Bitcoin, it's the same as using Bitcoin in your country. It's going to take off. It already took off. Oh, man. Speaking of gold doubloons, I've been reading a little bit about Benjamin Franklin. And I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but this is an essay he wrote. And it's called The Old Mistress Apologue. So in this essay, he's writing advice to a young man about dating. And the young man is basically saying like, oh, I don't know about all these young girls. And Benjamin Franklin is writing to him and he goes, don't mess around with those young girls. You want to go for the old ladies. He's, oh man. I had to take a little break because I was reading this essay all over again and trying to understand what he was saying. So, okay, basically he's telling this young man that you got to get married. You can just accomplish more if you're in a relationship with someone than if you're single. And he says, get married. But then he says, if you're not going to get married and you just want to sleep around, he says, don't sleep with young girls, sleep with old women. And then he starts giving reasons why you should sleep with old women. So reason number one is because as they have more knowledge of the world and their minds are better stored with observation, their conversation is more improving and lastingly agreeable. So that makes a lot of sense, right? Older women, they have more stuff to talk about. I mean, when you talk to young girls, it's all, you know, Yu-Gi-Oh cards and Sailor Moon. Reason number two is because when women cease to be handsome, they study to be good. Hell yeah. To maintain their influence over men, they supplied the diminution of beauty by an augmentation of utility. They learn to do 1,000 services, small and great, and are the most tender and useful of all friends when you are sick. Thus they continue amiable, and hence there is hardly such a thing to be found as an old woman who is not a good woman. This is great. I like this. To maintain their influence over men. Wow, sounds manipulative. So they augment their utility. That's just a great way to say that, like, they have learned skills in bed, you know? I also like that they're the most tender and useful when you're sick. That's true, actually, right? Older women are more likely to take care of you. Younger girls are like, oh, I gotta go. Number 3, because there is no hazard of children, which irregularly produced may be attended with much inconvenience. Oof. Yeah. Older women can't have any kids, and that's awesome. Because if you have a child which is irregularly produced, very inconvenient. Number 4, because through more experience, they are more prudent and discreet in conducting an intrigue to prevent suspicion. No one's gonna know. How will they know? No one's gonna know. The commerce with them is therefore safer with regard to your reputation. Yeah. I have a reputation to uphold in this town. And with regard to theirs, if the affair should happen to be known, considerate people might be rather inclined to excuse an old woman who would kindly take care of a young man, form his manners by her good counsels, and prevent his ruining his health and fortune among mercenary prostitutes. Wow. Okay. So if you sleep with an old woman and people find out, they're like, hey, come on, she's old. It's all good. And you know what? And then they're saying that she'll take care of this young man by forming his manners. She'll be like, listen, when you eat dinner, you need to put the smaller utensils on the outside and the bigger utensils on the inside. And we're going to eat going outward in. And prevent his ruining his health and fortune among mercenary prostitutes. Yeah, mercenary prostitutes. Have you seen them on the street corners? These young girls. If you sleep with them, you're gonna die. But old ladies, safe. Wow, this is like really making. This is really like making a lot of sense. Through my window, I can see a nursing home, which is hilarious. Oh, number 5 is fantastic. Because in every animal that walks upright, the deficiency of the fluids that fill the muscles appears first in the highest part. The face first grows lank and wrinkled, then the neck, then the breast and arms. The lower parts continuing to the last as plump as ever. So what he's saying is that women, they age from the head down. So he's saying first the face grows lank and wrinkled, then the neck, then the breast and arms, but the lower parts continue to the last as plump as ever. So that covering all above with a basket, okay, if you cover these women's heads with a basket and regard only what is below the girdle, the belt, it is impossible of 2 women to know an old from a young one. Do you think that's true? If you covered 2 women up from the waist up and you just looked at them, that you couldn't tell the difference between young and old? As in the dark all cats are gray, the pleasure of corporal enjoyment with an old woman is at least equal and frequently superior, every knack being by practice capable of improvement. I think the best line here is, as in the dark all cats are gray. Next time someone says, it's just so funny to hear basically this frat language in 1700 speak, you know? He's basically saying that, hey, when the lights are off, it's all the same. Except here he says, as in the dark, all cats are gray. I'm going to start saying that. Richard, what do you think about these 2 options? Hey, all cats in the dark are gray. Number 6, because the sin is less. Oof. The debauching a virgin may be her ruin and make her for life unhappy. I guess, yeah, totally. If you sleep with a young girl and take her virginity and then you leave, oof, that's terrible for her. But old woman doesn't care. She gave it up a long time ago. Number 7, because the compunction is less. The having made a young girl miserable may give you frequent bitter reflections, none of which can attend the making an old woman happy. That's right. After you sleep with a young woman, they're miserable. But if you sleep with an old woman, they're happy. Common sense. 8th and lastly, they are so grateful. 2 exclamations. I gotta show you this. It just says they are so grateful. 2 exclamations. I guess that's true. Thus much for my paradox, but still I advise you to marry directly. He's like, hey, here's 8 reasons to bang old women, but get married. All right, that felt good. I think that was funny. But man, Ben Franklin, huh? Here's the thing. Ben Franklin did not have a successful marriage. He did marry a woman and have some children, but then he went to Europe, I think when he was 50. And he stayed in Europe until he died when he was in his late 80s. So for the last 40 years of his life, he was in a different continent than his wife. And she kept on writing letters to him like, I think I'm sick and I think I'm going to die. Do you want to visit me? And he was like, oh, I have business in France. And then she died. So, I mean, I'd say if you're in a relationship, if you're in a relationship, try to go less than 40 years without seeing them. So I am trying to be happy these days, and one thing I'm doing is I'm writing a gratitude list. So let me just read you my gratitude list. Okay, the thing I'm doing is I I have a lot of difficulty being sincere, so I like to read my gratitude list in a sarcastic voice. All right, number 1. I am completely healthy. 2. I'm financially stable and independent. Number 3. I can play the guitar. Number 4. I have plenty of free time. And number 5. I have a bunch of friends. Number 6. I'm good at stand-up comedy. And number 7. Camille listens to this podcast. Whoop-de-doo. Just kidding. No, Camille, if you're here, I really appreciate you. As usual, you are keeping me alive. Also, JG Tay, thank you for the comments. Thank you for all the encouragement. I don't know what JG stands for. I assume Janine Garofalo or Just Great or JG Tay. Come see the full works of JG Tay, animated for the first time in theaters. The beloved works of famous author J.G. Tay. I don't know. Sorry, it just started sounding like an author, and I was like, oh, I have to do like an advertisement. Oh, man. Dude, it's getting... I was on TikTok. Man, things are getting wild out there. There was this one song on this video. This girl, she goes, I could take your mans if I want to, but lucky for you, I don't want to. I was like, so why do you have to say anything in the first place? I could take your mans if I want to, but lucky for you, I don't want to. It's like you're just ruining someone's day, you know? Suppose I was going to get breakfast with my girlfriend and some girl comes up to her and she goes, I could take your mans if I want to, but lucky for you, I don't want to. Like, that's going to ruin our breakfast, you know? At breakfast, I'm going to have to tell my girlfriend, like, listen, she could not take me if she wanted to. Why don't these songs, like, talk a little bit more about commitment? You know, some Ben Franklin commitment. Like, both of you seem to be committed. I don't want to mess with it. Why doesn't that go viral on TikTok? Everybody's so selfish, don't you think? Like, if on YouTube an ad came up and it said, you can skip this ad, but one small baby in Rwanda will be murdered. Most people would limit themselves to 3 skips per week. They would be like, oh, were those babies going to have good lives anyway? It's kind of weird. Like, have you ever thought of, is it possible to do anything selflessly in your life? Like, even if you give money to charity, you're doing it because it makes you feel good. You wouldn't give to charity if it made you feel bad. Is there any way to do something? I think in life, the only way to conduct yourself is basically you have to understand that you are selfish, right? So you're like, okay, I'm a selfish person. Now, what's the best way that I can do selfish things that will also help other people? I think that's the only way to live. People who work out, you know, they're working out because they want to look good. People who eat healthy, they're trying to live longer so they can make more money. It's all selfish. My friend was asking me, he's like, hey, do you want to do P90X? Come on, man. Who wants to? He was like, we can wake up at 7, do P90X in the park, and then we'll be ready for our day. No, dude. No. Like, why do we always like try to kill ourselves to like get better, you know? I'm tired of like making myself feel bad. I'm only doing things that make me feel good. The next time you see me, I'm just going to be fat and disgusting because I'm only doing things that make me feel good. I used to work out with this guy in San Francisco. His name was Dante, and he would wear a do-rag. And dude, this guy, he would treat me like he was a pimp and I was his hoe. He would just make me work out, and he would just like yell at me while we were working out, and then he would randomly like get other people in his class too, and he would make them work out right next to me, but he wouldn't let us talk to each other. Yeah, so I would be working out in a room. There would be two other people working out, and we're not allowed to speak to each other. We can only speak to him. I was like, this is a cult, and this guy is going to kill us, you know, or make us his, you know, sex slaves like R. Kelly. And always before the second to last class, like he made us sign up for 10 classes at a time. Before the second to last class, he would be like, all right, you signing up for another round? You going to sign up again for another round? And then we'd all have to be like, yeah. Because if you say no to this guy, I mean, who knows what he'll do? He's got a do-rag. And so I did it. I signed up for another 10 classes, and then I just didn't show up to class 8. And that was the way I escaped Dante. And I received Facebook messages from him for years afterwards being like, yo, bro, looking to get swole? And I was like, no, sir, I do not want to get swole with you, okay? I don't want to get swole in your sex dungeon. Do I say like too much? I feel like I'm a 36-year-old man, you know, with a beard, and I'm saying like. Is that weird? I feel like you have to say like in certain situations. Like imagine, okay, so you're telling someone a story. So Fred and Sarah were eating pizza, right? And Fred was like, hey, Sarah, do you want some pizza? And Sarah was like, no, I don't want pizza. And Fred was like, you should probably eat some pizza. And Sarah was like, I don't want pizza. Don't push it on me. And Fred was like, I'm not pushing on you. You just should be eating it. Here, eat this slice. And Sarah was like, no, I told you I'm full. I don't want to eat. And Fred was like, eat it, eat it. And Sarah was like, you're scaring me. Stop pushing me against this wall. You're hurting me. And Fred was like, eat it and eat it. And Sarah was like, you have to say like, right? It doesn't sound right if you say said. So Fred said, eat this pizza. And then Sarah said, actually, I don't want to eat the pizza. And Fred said, actually, you're going to eat the pizza. It just sounds weird, right? It sounds like a book or something. It doesn't sound conversational. I don't know. I say like all the time. It's like I have like a teenage girl inside of me. You can't say that these days. You'll get canceled. Man. Everyone, I think this whole PC culture, it's because the world is too safe, right? You can tell how sensitive the next generation is if you go to a playground. If you go to a playground and you see how safe everything is, you're like, oh, this next generation is screwed. Everything is like very foamy and like rubbery. You know, even if you fall from the top of like a cage structure and you hit the ground, you basically fall in like this like soft ball pit or this like soft like rubbery ground. You can't get hurt. When I was a kid, I used to get hurt a lot. Like if I fell off the monkey bars, you would go into the tambark and you had splinters in your body for the next year, you know? Other countries still are pretty, their playgrounds are pretty dangerous, which I like. I saw, like a couple years ago, I visited my friend's family in Istanbul in Turkey, and I saw a playground. The playground was so dangerous, even I didn't want to go on it. It was like the slide was just this big metal tube that extended for like 3 stories. I was like, you're going to die if you ride that. And that's why Turkey is probably going to be the next superpower, because their kids are getting destroyed on these playgrounds. It's like, Even the internet is too safe now. When I was a kid, man, dude, the internet, I got the internet in 1995. Dude, the internet was like the Wild West. The internet was so scary. Like, you just go like, that's the internet that you're, the dial-up. You go on there, anything could happen. Like, you could be reading about Magellan exploring the world, and all of a sudden, just gay porn will just pop in your face. Like, I thought I was learning about explorers, and now it's like, oh, this guy's dick is in my face. So, dude, the internet used to be crazy. I don't understand why we were doing the things we were doing when we were kids on the internet. Like, my friends and I, we would go to like rotten.com. That was like the big shock website when I was a kid. Hey, dude, did you see the new picture on rotten.com? Did you see that? Dude, a guy kills himself like with a shotgun. Do you want to watch the video? And I was like, yeah, let's do that, because there's nothing to do. Dude, 1995, when I grew up in Fremont, it was farm town. And I was like, there is nothing to do here. The most exciting part of our day was going on the internet and looking at vile pictures of like old people having sex and just disgusting stuff. Dude, now the internet is like, are you 18 and over? Would you like to continue? So the reason that the internet is safe now is because if you want to see disgusting stuff, you have to go find the disgusting stuff. When I was a kid, the disgusting stuff just popped up wherever you were. Like, oh my God. Okay, so I got the internet in 1995. I went on the internet. I was just searching for something random, like I forget. I was looking up like some new video game, and I was looking up the video game. All of a sudden, all this gay porn started like flashing on the screen. Just all these dudes like touching each other and stuff. And I was like, ah! Like, I got so scared, and I just like XXX. I turned off the computer and I just ran out I ran out the door. Yeah, I jumped out the window and I killed myself. No, I ran out the door, and I didn't touch the computer, and no one touched the computer for like 2 days. I mean, I was so scared. And then 2 days later, my dad, he turns on the computer, logs on, and as soon as he logs on, the same gay porn just started flashing in his face. And then he got so mad, and he just turned around and he looked at me and he was like, and he goes, I hate it when your sister does this. Oh my God, that was the luckiest moment of my life. I mean, my sister got beat up hardcore, but I was like, thank goodness, you know. But I mean, that's what happens when you look at gay porn on the family computer. All right, guys, this has been a fun episode. I appreciate you guys being around. Please leave me a comment below. I'm going to respond to everybody. I really like doing this. This podcast is going to get better as the weeks go on. I think this is like a great place for me to like finally flesh out my thoughts. I think I'm going to like really develop my voice, and I'm super happy that you guys are here for the journey. Leave me a comment, ask me a question. I'll answer a bunch of stuff. I know stuff about how to make money doing stand-up comedy, how to invest money, and where to get sweaters that look like quilts. So, all right, guys, see you next week.